What is going on, crypto community? Thanks for joining me for another SANDbox video where we deep dive into the metaverse. If any of you are brand new to the SANDbox, I think you will enjoy this video because we are going to be recapping what's been going on in the alpha state of the SANDbox. So recently they had something called the Alpha Pass come out, so that if you were able to acquire one of these Alpha Passes, which we were not, unfortunately, you were able to explore the metaverse a little bit in greater detail than a lot of the normal folk out there like myself who did not get that privilege of earning that pass just yet. So what that means, if you were able to get that pass, you had the opportunity to earn some sand and also some NFTs alike. You were able to earn 3 NFTs. You're also able to earn 1,000 sand throughout the course of this 20-day alpha. And right now you can see on the screen here that timer. This is very accurate. This is this exact moment. There is just over a week left in the alpha state for people to get in there, hop into the world, and explore it. And that's exactly what we did for the past, 13 days. We have been exploring the metaverse, and there wasn't a whole lot that we were able to do because we're limited. We're actually only able to access 3 of the dungeons that were opened up out of multiple. I mean, if you run through the current alpha state of the game right now, you're going to see there's a lot of different instance dungeon portals, we'll call them, that can take you to these different experiences. And unfortunately, we were only able to access the first 3 days of those. We also weren't able to have any of the actual quests that they were offering out there be tracked. So each time you load the alpha game, you would have to restart those quests. Not that it really mattered because you're not earning anything for those unless you have that alpha pass. But I wanted to just recap the alpha game and what I've experienced, some of the cool items that I've come across in those days of exploring. Also just do a quick little recap on those 3 instances that we did get access to, which was the NFT Institute, Dungeon of Dum-YZ, and then Club XYZ. So those were the 3 instances we were able to access. And then I wanted to just wrap up the video by talking about just the very few things that I think could be improved with the game at this current state. And then also, just to finally recap everything, I just want to go over what I learned playing in the alpha. And playing the alpha was not my first time hopping into the world of the SANDbox. I do own a couple pieces of land, in full disclosure, so yes, I do have invested ownership into the SANDbox, and I might be a little bit biased, but out of the metaverses I have tried out so far, I do like SANDbox the most. I'm not being paid for this video, and I'm also not giving you any kind of financial advice. I am just giving you guys my personal experience, giving you some of my own opinions, and just feedback on how I feel about the SANDbox in its current state. So let's hop right in and let's show you guys some actual gameplay, because I think that's what a lot of you want to see. What is the SANDbox? Especially if you have not hopped into the world. If you happen to be catching this video and there's still a couple days left in the alpha, go download it. It's free. A lot of computer, if you have a computer, I would say, it's so hard to say this, but in the past 6-7 years, your computer should be able to run this game. It is not that intensive. I'm running an RTX 3080 graphics card, which is a little bit more of a higher end graphics card that's out right now. But overall, I'm not having to pump up settings or anything like that. It's just a plug and play type game. Okay, so let's hop right in. So across the board in the game, I want to just say that the game has run amazing. I can't tell you how many people have been in an experience at the same time as me, because all I can do is see, their name above their head, and I haven't really gone around focusing on how many people I'm seeing. The most I've probably seen when I've been in an area was maybe like 10 different people running around. But overall, the game has run very smooth. I'm not experiencing any lag whatsoever. I don't know if there's some type of throttling going on where they limit the number of users that's in a particular instance. I don't understand the back end of what's happening, but I will say this: the game is running smooth, and I think that's important. And I think that's a lot of what this stress testing and testing that's going on in the background with the SANDbox. They're probably wanting to know how well their servers are handling everything. The only part of this that we did experience problems were, especially the first couple days, was just people trying to load the game all at the same time and access the game at the same time. So if you happen to get any kind of lag or issues loading the game, it's because of how many people were trying to access the game at the same time. So all you really had to do was either close the game down or just wait, sit there at the wait screen and just wait, and eventually the login screen would pop up for your username and password. So if that's happening to you where you almost think the game is freezing, I would suggest that you just maybe leave it for 5 minutes, maybe walk away, come back and see if the actual login window is there. So that's one of the problems I had experienced. But again, across the board, the game ran smooth. And this was on larger estates, not just one by one parcels, estates with hundreds of assets loaded up. So that was very impressive. One of the other things, and this isn't just specific to an instance, but just overall with the game and what I've experienced, this is, I'm not going to say it's NFT based, but what is so popular about this is the ownership aspect. You can own an asset, you can buy these assets, you can show off what you have, and that was something that I really love. And I'm familiar with this because I've been using the SANDbox Game Maker, which is what allows you to create these experiences. So I've messed around with creating like a billboard and throwing an NFT that I own and using the link to display it. Well, across the game, it was just really awesome the way that you could show off the NFT art and assets just by using external links. And you can also draw people to the direct page, like the OpenSea page. Pretty much everything needs to be listed on OpenSea, not listed, but able to be shown on your OpenSea account for you to link them into the SANDbox. But it's really cool how you can use those external links from within the game to get your internet browser window to just pop right up and show them the actual asset. So maybe if you have it for sale, it's a good way to get somebody to go in and buy it, or just draw some awareness to a project. So let's talk about some of the quests. So when we hopped into the game, we're actually sitting in the main hub of the game. We're talking about the main hub, and this is where you access all the different experiences. You can view the assets, you can see what the SANDbox has been working on along with their creators, and it was just really impressive. They were able to set up all these different themed areas on each parcel that they were designing. So that was really awesome to see. And they had a couple little starter quests just to get you to go around and experience different parts of their land and what they had created. So there were a couple quests you could do from the very get-go if you hop right in without having to go into any of the instances. And this was how I was able to first start seeing some of the ways they were showing off some of this NFT art. But so the first instance that they opened up, if I'm not mistaken, was the NFT Institute, and that one was November 31st. And a couple of things that I really liked just walking around and exploring that instance. It was really just a way to show off how you can have this huge museum to display your NFTs. They also had a Snoop Dogg set up in the basement of this museum, we'll call it. And it was just really neat because you step into the stage area or the dance floor of the Snoop Dogg experience, and all of a sudden music starts playing and you got the strobe lights going and the disco ball, and it was just really cool to see that. And they had the cars bouncing up and down. They had Snoop Dogg on the stage, the actual avatar version of Snoop Dogg, and they had the music going. So that was really neat. And then also as you go around that NFT Institute, you really got to see all the different ways that you can display art, whether that's in the middle of a case with some clear blocks to make it look like it's inside a glass case, or if it's just up on a wall, or it's recessed from the wall. Just different ways that these NFTs were shown was really neat to see. And then the last thing, just something minor, but they had one of the cyber Kong gorillas or apes, whatever you want to call it, on display. So a lot of these different NFT projects are starting to create assets within the SANDbox. So it was just cool to see the actual cyber Kong guy. I thought that was neat to see it, something you can relate to. I don't have any of the cyber Kongs, but I'm aware of that project. So when I was able to actually see it within the SANDbox, I thought that was pretty neat. So let's move forward today. Let's go to the dungeon, Dum-YZ. So that one, my favorite thing about that experience, the quest was just basically get to the end of the map, and it got me messing around with the levers and platforms a little bit, and it was really neat to see the way you could use that lever to turn those platforms on and off and get them to move. So that was just my favorite part about that one. Other than that, it was a very basic game, but I think the big thing was being able to see how you can apply the logic that creates that lever and platform type of gameplay. And then that was also one of the areas, though, that brought up one of the things that I thought could be improved. So I will just mention that. And that was hopping onto those platforms. I thought that it was a little bit too precise, a little bit too finicky, how easily you could fall off or not make the full jump. I know they say that you can jump X number of blocks, whatever it is. I think they say it's like 6 or 7 that you can jump almost from like being exactly like standing still. But again, it just felt a little bit off when I was doing this little platform jump that was really only 2 blocks across to get to it. You felt like you were either over jumping, or if you didn't just time it perfectly, you were missing it. And it almost felt like even after you thought you made the jump, your character would then fall off the platform, and I was having to run back up and start it over again. I'm not the best gamer. I'm not that person who's placing first every time I play a game, but I am a gamer. I understand games, and it just felt a little off. So that was my biggest gripe so far with the platforms and what I experienced there. So then the last experience we were able to do, which was also just another a visual presentation of what you can do here, was the Club XYZ. And I really liked this one because they had such an array of different assets set up. They had so many different styles, and when you head into the actual club, so many lights, so much movement. There was just action everywhere. Almost every single asset seemed to be doing some type of a movement, and it did not make the game laggy at all. I get it, we're talking about just voxel art here, but there was just so many lights and just different movements going on. I thought there would have been some type of lag created, but there wasn't. So that was really neat. And then some of the other things I liked, also in that Club XYZ, the coloring was really neat, the way they did this, and a lot of those assets, or everything that you've pretty much seen throughout the alpha, is something that you could buy or could have bought in the past. But the way they used music, it's been really cool to see that. And I know it's limited right now, like we can't go upload our own music to these experiences. You got to use what SANDbox is providing you, but they've got this to a point where you can actually just step into an area. So I could have stepped onto the stage where you got the turntables and the disco ball, and the music suddenly just changes for that one little area that I'm in. Not going to a whole different piece of land or a different experience, but just stepping into a different zone, we'll call it, or section of blocks, could make the music just instantly change. So I was having a lot of fun with that. And that was what I really liked about that Club XYZ. It was very similar to that NFT Institute with the Snoop Dogg experience, but it was different types of different sounding music at these different music setups. So it was really neat. I liked that. I thought it was a cool way to experience just how the music works within the game. And then that was it. That was all we could do for those experiences so far in the alpha, unfortunately. But there are other YouTube videos out there for some of the people that were able to obtain the pass, and they will show you how they completed a lot of those quests. But overall, the quests are neat. I understand questing. I really just keep wanting to see visually what is possible with this game, and within the quest lines, what type of quest you can do. Whether that's a chained quest where you have to complete XYZ, for X to trigger Y, for Y to trigger Z, or whether it's just a type of collecting quest. There's different ways you can set them up, so it's been good to experience that as well. And then in terms of critiquing, outside of what I mentioned just now with the platforms, there's not a whole lot I would say right away that I feel needs improved. Again, it's a very simple alpha state that we're in right now. There's not a whole lot we can test. There's not like a whole lot of multiplayer aspect of the game right now besides just interacting with people that I've seen. So there's not a whole lot I can really critique about the game right this second from what I've seen in the alpha. I'm happy with what I've seen. If anything, we just need it to get released sooner to the public, to get more eyes and people on this. Now, let's wrap this video up by talking about what I learned in alpha. I talked about things that I've seen and I've experienced, but how about some of the things that I actually learned? And I got about 5 items I want to quickly mention. First, SANDbox owns a lot of NFTs. I was very aware of their Bored Ape Yacht Club ape purchase recently, where I think it was 700 something Ethereum. It was a lot of Ethereum that they spent on this Bored Ape. Well, if you walk around, run around the alpha state, you're going to see a lot of different NFTs. And almost every NFT that I pulled up that was artwork or something on the wall was owned by the SANDbox. So that was something very interesting to me. And that's good to know, because when you think of companies where you have a balance sheet, there is a section on a balance sheet that talks about assets, you know, whether that's cash in the bank or NFTs. And they have a bunch of NFTs that hold value. So not only do they have this game that has its value tied to it, you also have these NFTs that are providing that as well. So that's pretty cool. I thought that was interesting. I think it's also going to be a great game in terms of advertising. The way that you can use these billboards, or the way you can create letters, I think there's going to be a great way for you to earn some type of residual income, whether it be rent you're charging and you're actually selling out actual advertising space. So it's going to be interesting to see upon public release how you're going to be able to charge people a rent, we'll call it, for people going into an experience, and then being able to see just some advertisements by a company that's on there. So that's something that I think is going to be taken advantage of quite a bit. I think a lot of companies will throw some money into advertising in the metaverse. Next, so number 3, the potential of voxel editing and voxel art. You know, I'm not into Minecraft. I never was. I know they're bigger boxes, but this voxel art is amazing. I've messed around a little bit with the voxel editor. I am not great with it at all. I'm working on those skills, but just seeing the detail of these assets and experiencing these experiences in the alpha state really opens your eyes to the potential and just gives you ideas of things you can actually create with this vox art. Next, number 4, anyone can download this game and play it. It's easy. The controls are simple. You don't need to learn 12 different controls and understand more than using WASD for movement, using your mouse, and a couple other keys on the keyboard. So I think this is a very easy game for anyone to pick up and learn, and I think that's a good point. It's just like people that use Apple products. They use them, well, most people use, but they're easy. Anyone can pick up an Apple device and use it. SANDbox is simple and easy to use. And then the last thing, I already slightly mentioned this, but I'll say it again. Just the way quests can be set up and the way quests can be used, it's been good to experience that in the alpha. So that was something that I learned. I didn't know what the questing would be like, but it's been interesting to see the type of logic that you can build into this. So that's it. That's my recap on the SANDbox Alpha up to this point. It has been out for about 2 weeks. There's still about a week left, but I'm about tapped out on what I can really do within the alpha state right now, and I want to put my time, I want to continue my time into the SANDbox maker and creating my own experience, and also getting better at this voxel editing and art. So that's actually what I'm going to get back to right now. So I'm going to get out of here. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. My next video, I will be talking about the SANDbox Bootcamp and what I got out of it, what I learned, and what I created after taking that. And hopefully I'll be getting that SANDbox certification soon. But stay tuned, as that will be the next video. I hope you enjoyed this. I hope you enjoyed watching some of what the gameplay looked like in the alpha state. Comment, let me know what you guys think. And if you got one of those alpha passes, awesome for you. Not awesome for me. But thanks for watching, and check back soon.